Welcome to another episode of Clarity TV. Today I have an amazing and special mother of four, just like me, guest whom I met recently at an event we were together at Ali Brown last year in Phoenix. And I'm just so excited for you to have a conversation with me, with Heather, and learn how her clarity path has been. Heather Vickery is a global leader that helps you leverage your fear into intentional bravery. When we choose bravely, we choose bigger, and it's contagious. This is where the real potential for successful lives comes in. She's a celebrated public speaker. Heather inspires audiences and empowers attendees with the tools they need to live bold and successful lives through creating balanced time management, as well as countless systems, strategies, and boundaries. Oh, I love boundaries.
I love boundaries too.
Heather is the author of Gratitude Journal, Shift Your Focus and Grow Grateful, a gratitude journal for kids and families, and the host and executive producer of the Brave Files podcast. Welcome, brave girl, Heather.
Thank you for having me. It's always so funny to hear somebody read your bio.
Yeah, and you. I mean, it happens that you hear them speak about you, and I'm like, who are they talking about? Is that me?
Like,
yes.
Okay. Can I tweak? Can I tighten it a little bit?
Yeah. So, welcome to Clarity TV, where we really explore your clarity journey. You know, you and I met at this event, and I always like meeting powerful men and women. Because the truth is, behind that powerful stance or that powerful work that you're showing up for today, or maybe you have followers that look at you up in that ladder, but behind that success, there's a journey. And there's a journey of darkness and clarity. And there's a dance that we consistently practice on a daily basis. So let me ask you a question. What is a project, experience, or accomplishment that was a before and after in your life? I know you have many, but it's big one.
I know. Well, you know, the biggest one, the most notable one for me is prior to going through a divorce, I was living what I have now discovered and referred to as a very small fear-based life. I ran my own business. I had 4 beautiful kids, but every decision I made was fear-based. What would be less scary? Let me do that thing. And I could not get out from that rat race, that hamster wheel of fear. And one morning, I just, again, feeling as small and as placed in this tiny little box as I possibly could, I looked at my daughters at the breakfast table, and I thought, what would I tell them if they came to me? If they came to me and they were feeling the way I'm feeling, what's the advice I would give them? And I knew that I wouldn't say, well, suck it up and deal with it. Like, you made your bed, now sleep in it. I would say, go be you. Go out, change everything, burn it all to the ground, and start over. Be yourself, because the world will respond to you better when you are yourself. So I could do that for them. And then it occurred to me that if I wanted them to be able to do it for themselves, I had to do it for myself. And that year I chose brave as my word of the year. And I did. I literally kind of burned it all to the ground, except for motherhood. I transitioned from the business I'd had for 20 years. I started coaching and writing and speaking. I got a divorce, and I just started to live big and take my fear and learn from it. Mm-hmm. So I have done all of the things that I have my clients do, or that I ask, audience members to do. And it is scary, but what I've learned is that fear is not a bad emotion. We're not trying to be fearless. The only fearless people in the world are sociopaths and 3-year-olds, and you've had 4 of them. So fear is important. It's a natural human emotion, and sometimes it saves our lives. But what it's almost always doing is telling us something valuable if we take the time to listen to it and have it push us forward and propel us.
I love that. And let me ask you this, because there's something about you that if you were to answer the question I just asked you for different moments in your life, big or small, there's something about you that's always been with you that maybe triggered that breakfast table moment. Sure. Yeah. I'm hearing and reading curiosity, But what is the one thing that you can recognize is the one thing that when you were falling down that rabbit hole, it caught you back up? Each one of us has one thing that consciously and unconsciously it activates when everything else fails.
I think it's a related but two-pronged thing. I think it's awareness and I think it's gratitude. My ability to look at a situation and be really aware of what's causing the problem.
Yeah, because you were able to get above that breakfast table and look at you as a subject in a study and how you were interacting with your daughters.
Yep. And then gratitude for the ability to do that, gratitude for my children and what I wanted for them, and gratitude for my ability to change my story. Those things have always stuck with me.
I love that. And I know you've worked, that has integrated into your work, so we'll talk about that in just a minute. Yeah. Well, actually, let's jump into that. So let's talk about your work. What is at the core of your work? And your clients are coming in and they're coming at point A, and they go through the Heather processor mix thing oven. How do you spit them out on the other side?
Yeah. So the core of what I do, and you mentioned this in the very beginning, is I help people leverage their fear into intentional bravery. We're all going to have fear. And most of the time we've been taught that bravery is this big, enormous thing. It's climbing a mountain. Maybe it's getting a divorce. Maybe it's starting a business. We recognize those things as brave, but we don't always recognize the 1,000 things we choose to do every day that are uncomfortable or facing our fears, which are brave. So that's actually, not to jump around, but that's the whole core of my podcast, The Brave Files. It's the same thing, is helping us redefine what bravery is and how we can step up into it. So I do, and you said it, systems and strategies and boundaries, and I laughed. Boundaries are my favorite topic, so I'm with you on that. I do those same things. All you do that, all coaches do that. But I do it by really digging in on, what are you terrified of? Why? Let's understand why. What will happen if you step into this fear? Is there a result on the other side that could completely change your life? I mean, how often do we run into people who are actually afraid of success because then they have to do the thing that they said they're going to do?
That's a thing. I mean, that's a thing. If you're listening to this Clarity TV episode and you are a driven, accomplished person looking for more, ask yourself, wherever you're not taking action, I bet you money there's fear of success. I had it. I had a whole kind of story in my head about, if I'm successful, I'm going to have all these problems. But it's the other shoe will fall mentality.
Absolutely. Yes. And those are things that we can gain awareness of and we can get a handle on, but they don't necessarily go away. I'll bet even for you, Dolores, you go through moments where you hit this wall and you're like, okay, this next thing, wow, that's like I got to work. I got to figure out why am I blocking this? Why am I not doing this one thing? And you can do it because you've got the skills and the experience to do it. But that fear doesn't go away, and it's everywhere. And for some people, it's just getting up and putting yourself out there, showing up. Showing up is, of course, 80% of the success is just be there. And so I help people identify what they're afraid of and why, and what they want on the other side. And then how do we slowly, in bite-sized manners, take action. Eat that elephant. Yeah, slowly with a good plan.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question that is going to be that kind of, we just talked about it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. It's, what problem do you solve? And the reason I'm asking this question is because, and I want to say to people listening, is nobody wants to conquer their fear. They want to conquer their fear because they want to. Why does the chicken cross the road?
It's not the fear. Yeah. You're right. It's not because they want to say I conquered my fear. Although, I mean, for some people, really, you want the result on the other side.
Exactly. So why does the chicken cross the road? Meaning, what is it? What is the client comes to you and says, I have identified, I have enough self-awareness to understand that what I want, whatever that is hiding right behind this mountain of fear that I've for a million times I've gone around it, and I still don't get what I want. So someone told me that if I really want what I want, I really have to do the work. And here I am. So what are some of those results that your clients have?
So the results, the problems that we solve are that feeling of chaos, constantly like somebody else is in charge of your life. Maybe you don't have good enough systems or boundaries, that you sit down at your desk and you squirrel all day and you never actually make any progress. Speaking up for yourself, asking for what you want powerfully. What's the worst thing that can happen, right? I do a lot of that. Better understanding your positioning. Where do you actually want to go and why? And I can't stress enough the importance of knowing why you want to go there. And it is not to make more money. It's not. If you think it's to make more money, we got a lot more work to do.
Think again. So are these men and women, just women that you typically work for?
Majority women, but at any given moment, I probably have about 2 or 3 men that I work with.
I call it our few good men. Me too.
Our few good men. They're just really, really aware, and they're conscious of, I so admire them, of turning tables on their conditioned patriarchal response. Like, they don't have to follow this uber masculine template that they're handed, and they come from a real disadvantage in that space. And so as women, we're constantly talking about how we're kept down, but that's something that men don't, the ones who don't want to be in that box, I really love working with them. We work a little extra hard because I have to say things like, I'm going to ask you to keep a gratitude list. And I'll tell you what, the ladies are like, okay. And the men go, oh. But they do it and it works, right? And that's what, by the time they get to me, and I tend to work with folks who have been in the workforce for quite some time, for at least 5 years, if not longer. Because this work, as you know so well with the work that you do, Dolores, it's really hard. I am asking you to face yourself in every possible way. And if you don't have enough lived experience to know that it's worth it, you're not going to actually do it.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly always think, most of my clients are growing their business, making more money, and having more impact. So they have a big enough driving force. But sometimes, especially in personal growth, I feel that it's so courageous to hire someone or become part of a group dedicated to personal growth, because it's like getting into a very hard gym, right? And they see you and you can't skip, and it hurts. Sometimes it hurts. Yeah. But it's in what I'm hearing from you, Heather, is it's the gift is in the being with that hurt. The gift is being in that fear, dancing in it, and allowing it to transform you.
Absolutely. And to your point, I'm actually unrolling my new signature program, which I've up until now only done one-on-one coaching. And Intentionally Brave Entrepreneurs is going to offer what you just said to larger groups of people, where we can be in that space of authenticity and vulnerability together, where you will still get coached, you will still be pushed, you will have the accountability and the training, but maybe you're not quite ready for that high level one-on-one coaching. So for newer folks who really want to start off on the right foot, and I'm very excited. So that's going to be
you read my mind, because my next question was like, what are you excited about this year coming up? So
there you go.
Tell us more.
I am super excited about this, because I am feeling just in the last year, I'm really ready to touch and support more people in a big way.
I love that.
And it's going to be such a fun opportunity to connect with people. Yeah,
I love that.
I love that. See everyone thrive.
So you and I, in a little passion project together.
We do.
And tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm excited. So last year in 2019, I published 2 books. Both of them were books on gratitude, and they accompanied gratitude journals. And it was such a fun experience, such a powerful way to connect with people. And this year, I'm finding more and more things are cropping up where really high achieving working parents have so many lessons and gifts to provide to others. So I decided to do a collaborative book, which I'm so excited about. And I have, I think we've landed on 24 different authors, including you. I'm so excited to do a chapter on something that they feel very passionate about. Do you want to share what your chapter is with everyone?
Sure. So this is something that my husband and I have done for years. And a lot of our friends and neighbors, we shared this when it was happening, and they're like, okay, can I do that too? And it was funny because my sister, who has younger children, she has a 5-year-old and 8-year-old, that Monday emailed me and she said, how do we do quiet time? Because you remember that.
Yeah.
And then the same week you asked me to write the chapter, and I'm like, perfect. So quiet time is something that my husband and I have done all of our while our kids were little. And I actually asked my children, the teenagers, how they felt about it. And they still today do quiet time. What it means is we were fairly structured when the kids were very little, and we respected their schedule as much as possible. Like on weekends you had parties and whatever, but when they were home and they were doing like half day preschool or whatever, I've always worked from home. And so right after lunch, the kids would go and do quiet time. So if they were babies, they were obviously going down for a nap, easy. But if they were older, I will give them a space. They will have a predetermined space, whether it was their bedroom or if they had a shared bedroom with another sibling, we had another space in the house where it was their quiet time space. Yeah. And what it means is that they sit quietly with books, games or whatever, no screen, nothing loud, no TV, of course. And some parents, and my sister is like, okay, so how can I do this? And how do I do it? Because my kids are 5 and 8, they're not napping. And so I give her a strategy, and I said, go to the pharmacy, go somewhere, and buy 2 inexpensive alarm clocks. Basic, no screens, like with buttons, like with a push thing.
Yeah.
And I said, give 1 to each and put it for 45 minutes or 60 minutes, not much more in the first time. And you sit them in their space with some activities, whatever, Legos or books, and say, when the alarm goes off, you're going to hear it beep, 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 come back to mommy. And so the kid was there with a very contained space that they knew and they could see, and she showed her, the handles in the clock or whatever. And so what happened, she tried it on a weekend, this was 2 weekends ago, and it went beautifully on that Saturday. And she texted me, she was so happy, I had a nap, she said. Nobody asked me for anything. So the rules were like no screen, but also no getting out of the space. You can go to the bathroom, no kitchen, like no snacking and whatever. And she lives in a very small apartment. And then the next day, Sunday, she texted me and she said, we had a very busy day. We had a party, so we were not home until 5 p.m. So we didn't do quiet time because it wasn't part of the day. But apparently when they got home, her son, who's 8, she said, Mama, is it okay if I have quiet time now?
Oh, yeah. We love that. That's awesome.
Oh, she's like, here's your clock. Go. And so the truth is creating the space, holding the space for your kids to slow down, but when my kids were little, it wasn't that important, meaning we had the TV as a distractor, but we didn't have all the screens that we have now when my oldest is 20. But now it's like almost critical. So if your child is not napping, they need an hour or 2. We actually got up to 2.5 hours usually.
Wow.
So every afternoon after lunch, the kids would literally have a bite of lunch, and then they would they already had in their mind what they wanted to work on. As they got older, it turned more into homework. But as a 10, 12, my kids would do like whole Lego projects or painting or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very. You can feel. I'm passionate about this.
Too, yeah.
And I'm excited because I really am not a parenting coach. I don't want to write a parenting book. It's not
Neither
my thing. But that's a perfect outlet for it so that the world can read about quiet time. And I don't have to do anything about it.
Exactly. Well, and that's what I love is I'm not a parenting expert. I'm just a mom of 4 like you, and I own my own business. And so I have some things that work and learned some lessons. But I know so many incredible parents. I do have even a few men who are contributing who are primary care providing parents, right? Meaning they either work from home or they don't work. Most people work. They don't work a regular
Full time in primary care. Yeah.
And so different ways to build that. And just, I'm so excited about it because everybody's got these really great topics and you're going to get a lot of fun information in sort of bite-sized forms. And I like to read books that are like that. If I'm picking up a book, especially if it's a personal growth or a business book, if the chapters are really long, I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we in Masters in Clarity, we write books for our clients, and this is something that I give for free, and people can read it like this. I mean, that's the beauty of those books. So we are building. Speaking about books, we're building the Clarity TV library.
Yes.
So, and you already kind of hinted to this, and I want you to share with our listeners what is a book they must read. And I saw in your notes The Red Tent, which, by the way, I love that book.
I love that book.
But what book would you want to share today?
And so when I answered that question, I was answering from a social emotional standpoint. So do you want my favorite fiction book or do you want my favorite personal growth book?
I would say let's go with personal growth.
Yeah. So my favorite personal growth, I have 2, but my very, very favorite personal growth book is called Leadership and Self-Deception, Getting Out of the Box. And it is written in like a story, so it's easy to read. I will be honest, it's not the most well-written story. Like if you are a writer, you might struggle just a little, but the takeaway from that book has been the most impactful thing that I've ever experienced. I recommend it first to every client, to every person I talk to.
Great. That's a kind of book
rereading. It's so good. And then the other one for me, especially as a woman, was Shonda Rhimes' book, Year of Yes.
Oh, yes. That's great. And her talk is great.
Oh, it is so great. And my favorite takeaway from that book is that you're always saying yes. So if you're saying no to something, which we talk more about saying no to something, like you need to learn to say no, you're saying yes to something else. I like to coach things in positive space. I like to be in positive space. So I'd rather say, what are we saying yes to? Right? So saying, I'm sorry, that's not going to work for me now means I'm saying yes to myself. I'm saying yes to my boundaries. Right. And so really, really fantastic book. As soon as I listened to it on audio because I love her voice, and I don't listen to a lot of books like that on audio. And as soon as it ended, I wanted to just start it over.
Oh, that's so cool. Good. That's cool. That's good because I'm always looking for suggestions. I have all these credits in Audible and I stopped down it. So I'll get that one now.
If you're, get it on Audible. The other one, and I just finished this. Oh my goodness, was it good? Gabrielle Union's book, We're Gonna Need More Wine.
Oh.
So if you're looking for a really good audio book, she reads it. First of all, it's hilarious. It's pretty vulgar, so be prepared. If you're sensitive to that stuff, you might not like it, but it's so funny. And from the perspective of a woman and a Black woman, it was incredible. It should be required reading, quite frankly, for a lot of people. And
I'll check that one out.
Yeah, it was great. And I didn't even know she was speaking my language. The last thing she closed with is, remember that you can be scared shitless. Can I say that on your show? You can be scared shitless and still do the things you need to do. And I was like, oh, there you go.
That's exactly how we roll. That's exactly how we roll. If there's a little bit of fear, you're not playing big enough. So
I totally agree.
So where can people find you?
I'm so easy to find. It's vickeryandco.com. I'm at Vickery and Co on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. My kids think I'm a celebrity because if you type my name into Google search, my picture pops up.
Great.
Isn't that
and her information will be right under this video, so don't stress. We got you covered. Any parting words?
I just want you actually you took my parting words, but they're so great. Every day there should be something that scares you just a little. If you're not doing that, you're playing it too safe, and you're not going to reach those levels of success and even happiness that you want. So every day find one little thing at least that gives you a jolt of fear.
Okay. I'm going to think through my day now. Well, I think, yeah, my schedule scares me today. I think my next break is at 8 p.m. So.
Oh my gosh! Well, that would do it. Boundaries.
Boundaries. Thank you so much, Heather, for making time for us and having a conversation with us. I truly enjoyed it.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.